Hey everyone, Daniel here, and welcome to the very first chapter of the Seven Wonders. This is it's kind of a crash course, but it's a 12-week course of a magical recovery and discovery program that I've developed over the years. I've kind of adapted it from the Artist Way book series by my fellow Santa Fean Julia Cameron. That's her right there, so she's going to kind of like take the ride with us as we do this. What Julia developed in the Artist Way is basically it's a spiritual program for higher creativity, and it's designed for artists of all kinds, everything from writers all the way down to musicians, everything in between. And the program actually helps you unblock as an artist because it takes you on this internal inventory to help you uncover what your blocks are, what's actually keeping you from being more creative. So yeah, 22 years ago, I started this incredible path with the Artist Way. And when I started, it was really kind of to unblock my musical thing because I was a singer-songwriter, but my whole creative path kind of got sidetracked because I fell into like drugs and alcohol and a series of life events that just went out of my control, and before I knew it, I had no control of myself. So I went into a 12-step program, got sober. Step 11 is really the step that kicked in and activated me in terms of my spiritual consciousness, because step 11 is basically sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, and praying only for His will for us and the power to carry that out. So that step actually led me to daily meditation, which was really my daily prescription to keeping my mind chatter down and the drama out, and getting into breath work. I was really kind of struck sober and clean like overnight, but once you do that, in order to maintain sobriety, you have to do a lot of work. You have to do a lot of inventory. You have to be rigorously honest. So step 11 actually led me to the Artist Way. And as I started exploring the Artist Way, it not only kind of created the scaffolding along with my sobriety to just really understand who I was, where I was coming from, what I was capable of as a creative artist, because I literally, from the time I got sober, started the Artist Way. A year later, I had like a 5-song EP, and the editor-in-chief from Billboard, Larry Flick, he was the editor-in-chief of Billboard at the time. He has a great out radio show on Sirius. Maybe I'll put a link to that so you can go check him out. He's a great guy, but he wrote a great review about me in Billboard. That was just a year after I started. And what I discovered is the more I practiced the Artist Way, coupled with my sobriety and my spiritual path, I started finding that it was unblocking things with my magic. Because when you kind of boil creativity down to its essence, it's actually a pliable, responsive force. More than that, it's the lifeblood of the universe, and it's a direct coupling with the Great Spirit who wants to be noticed and who's just like sitting there going, hey, what do you want to do now? Let's do this. And as I started realizing that, I was like, creativity and magic are one and the same. And as my magic started becoming more powerful, I realized that that word artist and the word witch are interchangeable, just as the words creativity and magic or witchcraft are interchangeable. Um, if any of you are in any kind of recovery or do any kind of daily meditation practices, that's great. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I also want to take this time maybe to let you know that this is not an exercise, or I'm not teaching any traditions in witchcraft per se. This is a very non-denominational kind of thing. This is really a recovery program. If you think of it from that way, this isn't like a recovery program where you're withdrawing from a substance like alcohol or drugs or food or sex or whatever. It's actually a recovery program where you are withdrawing to yourself, the substance itself that you are. It's important to note that I was very careful in coming up with the curriculum so that it would follow moon phases, and it would help us get in touch with some of the more basic skills that all of us need to do, which is right now, slow down and breathe. We've kind of already been forced into a more humane, if not human pace over the past year. 2020 to me is the year of vision. But before we get into the practices for this week, I want to walk you through the basic tools that you're going to practice for the next 12 weeks and hopefully a lot longer. The first one, again, adapted from the Artist Way. In the Artist Way world, it's called morning pages. For our purposes, for the 7 wonders, we're going to call them shadow pages. And the reason they're called shadow pages is that we are actually meeting our shadow selves. This is basically what shadow pages are going to be. If you have a journaling practice, this is going to be a lot easier for you to adapt to, but it is going to take some adaptation, particularly if you journal like in the afternoons or at midnight, because I'm going to ask you to adjust your time to first thing in the morning. And the reason why I want you to do that is because first thing out of bed, you spill onto the page with your shadow. You're uncensored, and your shadow has a lot more freedom to speak quietly or to scream. This isn't a writing practice. Those of you who might be resistant and say, oh, I'm not a writer, or it doesn't really have anything to do with magic. It does. This is not a writing exercise, it's a communication exercise. You're communicating with your shadow self, the most honest part of yourself, first thing in the morning. All you have to do is get a journal like this, notebook sized. The smaller journals, more decorative ones are cool. They kind of restrict you a little bit. You want the freedom to write. You're gonna do 3 pages every morning. I know that sounds like a lot, but when you start flowing, you have to get to at least 1.5 pages before you really start to get to the truth, and then let yourself go for another 1.5 pages, and that's it. It doesn't have to be, you're not writing to themes, you're not writing to cues or anything like that. A lot of times it's gonna just sound ridiculous. You're gonna be whining and it's gonna be bullshit. And you may sit there and think, I don't have anything to say, just write that for as long as you can. Eventually you will get out something. A lot of people are gonna be resistant to this, like I said. And I've met people who've resisted this and who now would give up oxygen before they would stop writing in their pages. At some point, I'll walk the camera back at some later episode and show you my journal, and it's actually a bookshelf of morning pages because I've been doing this for 22 years, and it's a vital part of your shadow work. Okay, the next part of our shadow work is something that I call small dance. Again, don't let the name fool you. You don't have to be a good dancer to do this practice. In fact, you don't even need the mobility of your legs. The idea is that our bodies are really our most perfect pendulums. because our bodies are beautiful mechanisms of our nervous system, combined with our bodies hold all of our knowledge. It holds our intuitive knowledge. It holds our environmental knowledge, our historical knowledge, our health knowledge. Our bodies actually hold all of this content for us. And this practice is going to help us get in touch with our bodies so that our bodies are actually the connection to our shadow. So, the first thing before we get into shadow dance, I want you to stand very quietly or sit. Think of yourself as a pendulum. So there's actually a chain connected to the crown of your head that is reaching all the way up to the ceiling or suspending you from the stars. And I want you to take 10 full cycles of breath. You're going to inhale all the way down into your belly, exhale up your spine and up through the top of your head. Do 10 complete cycles. Then maybe you have a little jam going in the background, maybe some Tibetan music, some Native American drumming or things I like. The Pandora New Age Beats channel, I'll put a link in the blog associated with this if you want to do that, but it doesn't matter. You're listening to some music that you like, you're staring at your shadow, and you're just going to just sort of let your body go with the motion. So the motion is actually leading your body. You're not leading the motion, and you really are a pendulum. This portion is called small dance, and you are literally clearing and tuning your body. You're getting in touch with it. You're going to practice this for about 5 minutes. And then you want to advance into your shadow dance. And again, you're going to trust your body. You'll be floating a little bit better if you can, start getting your arms into play. Let yourself go and just move with your shadow. And do whatever it is you need to do for like 20 minutes. If you're in a chair, same thing. You can kind of sit down, right? And let your body move if you can. If you can get your legs into it, maybe ride the broom, do something like that. The point is to have fun dancing with your shadow. This was something we used to do very well when we were young. We're going to do it again at least once a week for the remainder of this course for 20 minutes. You can do it longer or more days if you want, but at least one time a week you're going to do this shadow dance. Again, the idea is that our bodies are the most perfect pendulum. We can trust our bodies more than we can anything else, and we'll know exactly how things feel in our bodies. I know exactly, for example, what balance feels like in my body. And, it doesn't take a lot of thought to get into, balance. You practice it and you'll know what balance feels like. You'll know what sound feels like. And actually, as you practice this, your gait is going to be a lot peppier because you're freeing up your body. And you'll see, your friends will start noticing and telling you, hey, you've got a little extra spring in your step. And you'll know it. You'll know that it's right because you will feel it in your body. All right, the third basic tool of our shadow work, a vision quest for our purposes. Basically what this is you're gonna get one time a week, you're gonna plan an hour, and you're gonna take yourself and your shadow out and do whatever the fuck you wanna do. Alone, the two of you and your shadow. Where the shadow pages and the shadow dance actually are transmitting your shadow. When you're on a vision quest, you're going to be receiving. Your shadow is going to be giving you information. Your vision quest can be anything from like, hey, I'm going to sit down and listen to some vinyl. Just do that. Or, maybe it's, I want to just go take myself, no spouse, no kids, no coven, no best friends, none of that. Just me and my shadow. We're going to go out for a walk in the forest, or the woods, or walk around your block. It doesn't really matter as long as it's time that you plan ahead, that you're going to take an hour and spend with yourself. It sounds really great. It sounds like, oh yeah, I'm going to be all over that, but it is the hardest thing to do. It's the most resistant because it is very intimate. And while it might sound like fun, it's not. A lot of times you might be really with your shadow and so pissed off, and that's actually a really, really good, healthy thing. We'll get into this in a couple of weeks when we cover the 7 wonders of power and talk about why anger is such a good, dear friend of mine and yours, believe me. It's just understanding how to interpret that language, and your shadow knows better than anybody. So if you want to throw a fit, if you want to get in your car and scream for an hour, that's a killer fucking vision quest. It doesn't matter, and hopefully you will have fun. But it is a very hard thing to do because it's very intimate. It is kind of like going on a date with somebody for the first time. You're nervous. Our shadows need our attention. Even though we've kind of been locked down in this COVID mess, thinking of things like this to just have fun for yourself, let yourself be a free spirit, let yourself be a witch, that is a cool thing. So those are the basic 3 tools for our shadow work. Now let's jump into the 7 wonders of protection. All right, let's get right to the assignments for this week. Number 1, 7 curses for 7 charms. All of us suffer from self-imposed curses, ranging from the subtle to downright abusive. These self-imposed curses have attached themselves to our beloved shadow, and in fact deceive us into believing that it is our own voice, when in fact it is a negative core belief, planted like a dark seed by one of our intimates or by a particular traumatic incident from our deep past. We've come to trust these curses as truth, and they may very well appear to be rooted in protection from harm's way, but make no mistakes. Self-imposed curses are out to imprison you in lies. Self-imposed curses are mostly subtle, sometimes downright hateful, but they range in variety. As examples, witches are female. All male witches are gay. I'm just fooling myself. Sooner or later, everyone is going to find out I'm just a fraud. I love witchcraft, I just don't have the time to practice in my life. Everyone will think I'm crazy. I'm afraid I'm losing my mind. These curses pop up like toast anytime we start to experience a little optimism or show any semblance of self-worth. Many times they are rooted in negative personal or cultural conditioning. The trick is knowing the countercurse. When crafted with some thought and subtle cleverness, we can learn to evade the strike of a self-imposed curse until it is alchemized into a self-charm. Example, self-imposed curse goes like this: witches are female, converts into a counter curse. Tell that to Merlin. Let's scroll down to another good example. I'll use the last example. Self-imposed curse, I'm afraid I'm losing myself. Converts into a counter curse, I might be finding myself. Your assignment is to make a list numbered 1 through 7. As fast as you can, write out 7 self-imposed curses. Speed is essential to avoid editing. Next, Look at your list. It's probably going to sting a little bit, but that is the point. Now take a breath and summon your inner parent again. You want this to be a safe and nurturing experience for your beloved shadow, who is very much like an inner youngster. Now, calmly, gently, convert 7 curses into believable counter curses. For example, if one of your curses is, I hate myself, turning it around into, I love myself is going to sound like syrupy, superficial bullshit. A more accurate counter curse is, I'm too hard on myself. That lands softer and more accurately because it is grounded in truth and genuine compassion. After you've countered all your curses into charms, give yourself a moment to read them back to yourself out loud. It's probably going to feel uncomfortable and a little superficial or both, but remember, these charms need to be worked in order to truly release you from the grips of a long-lived parasitic curse. They are the keys you need to unlock true magical recovery. Assignment 2 is time travel, angels and demons. Take pen in hand and divide your life into 10-year increments. 1 to 10, 11 to 20, up until your current age. As best you can, trace down the people or situations that are likely sources of your self-imposed curses. Did you grow up in an environment with cool pagan parents or muggles who encouraged your magical work and your creativity? Or did you grow up with Carrie's mom who threw you into the closet with a prayer book? Maybe you were brought up in Catholic school and the curses were planted more covertly. You were bullied, made to feel ashamed in some way. By scanning your life, you're doing a personal inventory of your past grievances, wounds, resentments, and pain. Nothing is too big, nothing is too small. Do the best you can. Many times injuries are buried too deep and will suddenly occur to you while you're doing your shadow pages. Be sure to add them. This is your list of demons who have haunted and tormented you for years. Every time you get smarter, so do they. Their aim is to deceive and block you. Chase every single one of them down until you learn their names. Now next, you're going to take the same method, dividing your life into 10-year increments, but this time you're going to list all your angels, the people and the situations that gave you a sense of encouragement and empowerment. No inventory is complete without, you do want to do all of your losses, but you do want to have all your assets and gains listed, and that's what angels and demons is going to help you do. When you're finished, you will have a general sense of the personal and cultural conditioning throughout your life. Okay, so this next assignment is mirror magic, and you're basically going to take the 7 counter curses that you've just created and turn them into self-affirming charms. So you want to stand in front of your mirror every morning, every night for 7 days, and repeat these charms into your eyes. Again, this is going to sound, it may feel really hokey, it may feel, Stuart Smalley and all that, but again, remember, these are charms. You have to work these charms in order for them to work. If you have a magical mirror, I would recommend that you cleanse it in the way that you always do and do this mirror magic. Again, repeat your 7 charms every morning, every day for the rest of this week. All right, the very last assignment is probably one of the most important ones this week, which is actually casting a circle of protection around yourself and your recovery for the time that you're going through the 7 wonders. So, where's my journal? Here it is. So what you want to do is go to your Shadow Pages journal, turn to the very last page, right? And just take a pen and draw a circle, okay? And then in the very center, draw your name. If you want to like draw a representation, a little character of yourself, that's cool. Be as creative as you want to. Now, the next thing that you want to do is to, again, look at your circle, look at yourself in the center of it, and use your emotional focus to just be very, very much like an embrace. And you do embrace yourself. And then as you're looking at your name inside of your circle, I want you to rock back and forth and repeat 7 times, I've got you. I've got you. I've got you. Do it 7 times. If you need to repeat it, keep going until you feel it. And you'll know it because you will feel it in your body. And once you're there, now you've got your circle charged. It's important to remember that because we are in recovery, we have to be very mindful of our boundaries. And there are going to be people that we don't necessarily want to talk about the 7 wonders to, because they could inadvertently plant a seed that could get us off track. So around the outside of your circle, you know those people that you probably shouldn't be talking to about this. Go ahead and put their names around there. Your list of demons is a good resource for that. Just put those names on the outside. You know, it's like, I'm just, you know, we're not going to talk about this right now, you know, and keep it that way. And that's pretty much all you really need to do. Your circle is cast. You've given yourself some real protection, you know, and that pretty much is week 1. All right, that wraps chapter 1 of the 7 Wonders of Protection. I want to thank you for trusting me. I would ask that you hold off on any criticism until you've actually done the 12-week course. If you have any questions throughout the week, just hit me up on Instagram. Thank you very much. Happy Halloween. Hope you get a chance to shadow dance tonight under the moon. And again, I kind of want to sign off by telling you why I'm calling it the 7 Wonders and not the Artist's Way for Witches. Always had a really strong draw to Fleetwood Mac ever since 1975 when I heard the song Rhiannon about a Welsh witch. Fast forward to American Horror Story Coven, when Stevie Nicks actually showed up as a white witch. Everyone had to perform the task of the 7 wonders. In our world, to me, each of us have our own 7 wonders. Each witch, each artist, we all have our own terrains and our beautiful places that only we can discover and that we know about. The chorus in that song by Fleetwood Mac, The 7 Wonders, is, if I live to see the 7 wonders, I'll make a path to the rainbow's end. I'll never live to match the beauty again, the rainbow's edge. That's us. That's what we're doing. We are going to the rainbow's edge together. And with that, I think I'm just going to leave it. And have a great week. Have a beautiful Halloween. We'll see you next week for chapter 2, which is the 7 Wonders of